Hi there, you beautiful dreamers, and welcome back to Emmy Soleil Dreamwork. We live in the very era where a system collapse will soon take place and people are by all means confused due to highly influential agendas working hard to create deeper and deeper rifts between already polarized groups. We all have the same worried feeling inside, as well as an inner sadness too, and even though we look at what is happening in the world through individual filters, we agree that things should be in a completely different way. So dear ones, don't let yourself be lured into the trap of not being able to think straight. Don't fall into despair and don't make the rift deeper through blind hate and outbursting violence. It's time to be brave and to see beyond the fear and the pain, because what's going on right now is the prelude to what we have been waiting for so long. And when I speak about being brave, I mean in a way where we don't feed the fear-mongering game anymore. Take a step away from the dualistic projecting polarization game and stand firm. Stand firm and look at the opposing groups and see their differences. Take a look at your own opinion and see if there is anything you need to correct to be in balance with your soul and your heart. Listen to your heart and tune into the higher truth inside. It's really time to step away from the dualistic game. To stop the cause and effect ping-pong fluttering. You may think this is done by having no whatsoever opinion on what is going on, or by spreading only love and light, but this isn't the case at all. When it comes to different groups and opposite opinions, try to really see the different sides and to hear them out. Use your dream interpretation skills to dissolve what is yours and what is others when it comes to fears and projections. See the fear in your antagonist's eyes and recognize it in yourself. Find the opposite of that fear inside you, because every emotion has an opposite, and send it further. Send it with equal parts of kindness and severity. This is the key, equal parts of kindness and severity. And this means not only penalizing with hardness and not only being understanding and merciful, because that kind of unilateral imbalance creates even greater contradictions and digs even deeper gaps between the opposing groups. Know this, we are the ones we have been waiting for, and now it's time for us to consciously make a change. To be able to do that, we have to be in balance, because when we are, those who want us to be lost in fear can take away our sense of inner hope. When we consciously spread good and faithful energies in balance, we can dissolve between right and wrong. They can't find our inner knowledge about what we for sure know, that we are invincible. The moment we understand our true power, we will see that fear can't keep us prisoners anymore. I really mean it. To see the opposing groups as standing on each side of a deep ravine as two sides of a coin helps. Black and white, bad and good, night and day, opposing sides, representing kindness and severity, which is equal to the opposite pair in the tree of life, Quintessence, which I have been talking about before quite a lot, I guess. The two of them separated isn't working at all, but the quintessence of them does. The quintessence means balance and harmony. And these two sides acts as both painful symptoms and aggressive alarms right now. In their separated state, they cry out to us both lamentable appeals about looking the other way and military orders about fighting harder. And the two messages coming at the same time make us really confused, but if we could hear them as one, we would hear this. I know you are tired, but come, this is the way. This is the quintessence of Gevura and she said. The severe side and the comforting side working together. It's time to be brave. and to see beyond the fear and the pain. It's okay to do it in baby steps, and if you fail, trust that we are for sure one, and we have each other's backs. We are the ones who shall encourage and comfort each other along the way. It's time to be both severe and kind at the same time, firm and soothing, and this will create a balanced and deeply grounded feeling of security and calmness inside. That inner awareness and stillness is to be found in the core of every living being, but it's often stirred up and dissolved by the waters of emotional reactions. And this is simply because we are programmed to be afraid, programmed to be divided. So, last week I dreamed about a light blue cochlea-formed shell having 3 flute holes, and the 3 tones were in their respective holes. So, in some way, the shell was split in 2 and placed in separate places, and only one of them was making sounds. A half flute obviously can't be played in a satisfying way, but instead of worrying about that fact, the dream actually chose to highlight the quintessence of those separated halves by taking the split further to the association to half steps and semitones, and to taking diagonal steps. And the dream said that the sounds of the half flute were half steps, and that half steps or semitones could be used as a diagonal step. I really love the way the subconscious pinpoints things. No fear, focus on the split or on the dissonance, just pointing out that the solution is in the diagonal step, the half tones. Actually, just like using a staircase to move between the floors in a building instead of being either being separated to one of them or taking unnecessary risks by climbing and jumping. So the staircase is obviously diagonal and symbolizes quite well a connection between opposites, in this case between up and down. So this shows us that the quintessence isn't only coming from a conjunction of what's present, but also from the absence of what should have been there, the solution. It's not easy to see what is absent in a neutral and all-encompassing way when taking a stand against something, in a way making it impossible to see where the other part's opinion comes from. But we should really make some room there for the quintessence of the opposites, seen as possibilities, just like Gibura and she said, who together make up the kind of balance that is really needed. Letting that possibility, the raw creation material, replace the absence in the gap is equal to expecting the quintessence to take form. This means a never-ending reminder of our unlimited abilities. So in the middle of the 90s, I did dream of shells, flutes too, and about tone scales, and in one of the dreams a diagonal tone scale belonging to the angels was presented. And then a certain tone from this diagonal scale started to appear in certain songs, but very rarely. And always when this high and diagonal, as I perceived it, tone was played, I cried. Out from nowhere, I cried. It was like opening a floodgate, and I knew I had found some kind of gateway inside myself. When I some years later read Drunvalo Melchizedek's second volume of The Ancient Secret of the Flower of Life, I almost fell off the chair when he explained that after the third chakra, when moving upwards in spiritual development, there was a change of direction, bestowing of a half step. And this half step is obviously crucial for human evolution, and it can't be seen until the soul is in the body is ready to find it. When it is recognized and its threshold is passed, energy flows to the heart, to the throat and the pituitary and pineal glands, and the half step was drawn in the book as a diagonal line, and obviously works like a staircase towards a new level of consciousness. Wow. So the diagonal scale of the angels from my dreams for sure ignited the remembrance inside my soul to find that certain tone that led to my inner diagonal step. The tone turned out to be a key to the sacred space in my heart, and when unlocking that door, energy started flowing upwards because there was a new kind of awareness inside me. I have to add that it wasn't like the dream information took me from one place to another without me making any kind of effort. No. For years I struggled with painful wounds and turned myself inside out in all possible and impossible respects, and I had a period in the early 90s when I really felt it was impossible to love all people. Actually, that theme had been a recurring issue for me since I was a child, and when discovering that classmates and children could be quite mean both to me and others, and I pondered a lot upon the subject of revenge and how it would feel. But I came to the conclusion that I couldn't imagining myself hurting anyone, because every time I looked into another person's eyes and that person looked scared or insecure, I could only feel empathy. When growing older, though, my empathic feelings were really challenged for different reasons, and one special morning I sat on the morning train on my way to work, and I guess you all know that kind of crowding when you are almost sitting on each other's laps and having someone else's arm in your face and no room for your feet on the floor, and on top of that listening to irritating chattering while inhaling someone else's unbearable perfume. So that morning I thought to myself, no, it's impossible to love everyone. Absolutely impossible. And then suddenly the train car was lit up by some kind of light. I guess I was the only one that could see it or sense it, because no one else reacted, and I was filled with the strongest love ever. I watched the people around me in the wagon, as well as through the window at the one standing on the platforms. Oh my entire heart was filled with the strongest, most radiant love, and it didn't go away for a long time. At least that was how it felt. I was so filled with love for every living human being and was overwhelmed. I almost cried, but then lastly it disappeared and everything went grayish and dull again, and I became my old me with doubts and irritation again. But I knew, I had felt it. And later on, when having found the diagonal scale of the angels in my dream and also had started to hear that special tone making me cry, I understood that this diagonal tone filled the gap where this distance between me and the ability to feel unconditional love was before. And the tone aligned with that loving feeling, and I entered the sacred space in my heart. And the bottom line here is that our subconscious knows the way and will light our way and take us to the places we shall go. And our dreams will tell us the most important things, and even if we don't reach the understanding until decades later, there will be no doubt about that we will be handed all the information we need to heal ourselves and each other. Because this is, as said, the time when we are supposed to support and help each other to be strong and able to stand firm against fearmonger and hate, against the forces who want to divide the people and fortify the walls keeping us apart. So that gap between the warring groups, that empty space filled with only fear and hate, let's fill it with hope and with all the raw material needed for an alchemical wedding, resulting in the most wonderful quintessence, the equilibrium of opposing powers, resulting in a new understanding, because we need it. All humanity needs it if we are supposed to reach that very goal of being a human. This is the most ancient issue of dispute. Will humanity be able to use the free will to do other than destroy and damage? I want to stress the fact that seeing both sides and allowing the equilibrium between opposite forces not by any means allows violence and denying of what's wrong. Look again at Gebura, and she said, only severe penalism does not work, just like only submissive mercy doesn't. True love is treating people with equal parts firmness and kindness, not agreeing to what's wrong, standing firm, and at the same time showing a better way to go. Saying stop with firm kindness, being clear about the distinct difference between what's acceptable and what's not. This is a tough job, but it's necessary. I have to work with myself on a daily basis, but I have the tools I need to look clearly upon the things I couldn't see before because I was too entangled in my emotional reactions. I have the understanding I need to act upon my understanding. And I do my very best, but that doesn't mean I succeed all the time. The hardest part, which is actually the easiest too, seen from the other side of the coin, is to remember that we can change it all from the inside. With our willpower, we just have to believe in the possibility. Fill the rift with the raw material of the quintessence. Make it possible. And like I said in this month's newsletter about that little guy who didn't know there was such a thing as impossibility when it came to regrowing body parts, thus he did just like his lizard who lost its tail and grew it back when he lost his leg. He waited for it to grow back, and it did. So everything is about believing and willpower. Believe in miracles and make them happen. Perhaps I should also say that when having reached the half step leading to the heart, and the energy keeps on flowing through the throat and up to the pituitary and pineal glands, it encounters yet another half step. This one is situated in the back of our heads, and it is not until after finding that entrance and having passed it that we come to the 8th chakra, which is the final chakra of this octave. That final chakra is the Godhead, the very goal of every incarnated soul in a body. Getting there means finally remembering who we really are, the final theme on the quest as a soul in a human vehicle. So, dear ones, we have things to do, we have maps to follow and keys to find, and there are treasures waiting for us at the end of the octave rainbow. So use the half steps, never mind if the flute is split and separated, and that this is time when we live in and it's quite scary and confusing. Never mind that, because we will make it, and it will be both interesting, fun and wonderful on the way too. So that was all for today, and thank you so much for listening, and please keep on supporting my channel by subscribing to it and through hitting the like button. And for you who are waiting patiently on my dream course to come, it's on its way. To also sign up for Emilia Soleil's monthly newsletter, go to www.emiasoleil.com and click the submit button. So all my love to you all, and see you soon, and bye for now.